Greetings, peace and happy healing. It's another beautiful day. Oh wow, you hear nature? Give thanks. That was the introduction. That was definitely how y'all doing. So today we're talking about healing, particularly from abusive relationships. During my adolescent years, I was in a very abusive relationship all throughout high school. It was emotionally, spiritually, and physically very abusive. And my years as in high school were not like typical or what people would usually see was happening for people in high school. In high school, I did not live with neither of my parents. There were times where me and my high school boyfriend at the time, like we literally lived on our own. And we were, as you can see, we were in high school, we were young. I was very unprepared for relationships, especially intimate relationships. Because I had this lack of love, or felt I had this lack of love, and because I didn't have access to my parents at the time, all of those things played a part in me staying in that relationship, although it was very, very abusive to my existence. It was just terrifying, you know. And there were times that I felt like, you know, that I literally wanted to take my own life, and I in fact tried to do that. I just didn't see a purpose for life. I literally was down, depressed, just didn't have any sense of who I am and my importance to this existence. And I feel as though there were a lot of people that was around me that I could have went to, but I didn't utilize them because it was hard for me to use the strength to say, you know, can you guys help me? And there was some individuals that I went to, you know, as family, and did not say exactly what was going on, but I would say, you know, can I stay here? And it would be no, and all of those things just felt like rejection. So I began to hate me, literally hate myself. And that abusive relationship, because I've already hated myself, I was in a relationship that in fact did the very same things that I did to myself. So that's why it's important how you perceive and see yourself. Because when you perceive and see yourself in a certain light, that's what you're going to attract. People are going to know, okay, these are the standards of love that this person has for themselves. I have to follow those standards. You're preyed on when you don't love yourself. You're preyed on, and you're preyed on by individuals who don't love themselves either, and they're usually going through very similar situations as you. So when that is happening, the first step you have to do in an abusive relationship is seek out. And not just seek out, but also move in action out, right? And that is the first step, is acknowledgement. Okay, I am being abused. I am being abused, misused. I need to out myself of this, right? So that is the very first step, is releasing yourself from that bind, right? And you have to physically release yourself, right? Because once you allow for the physical separation, the spiritual and the mental separation are going to come. They're going to come, but you have to physically leave first. So some people, they never leave because they never find the value in themselves. So that part, I feel as though no one but you can truly free yourself from. You have to acknowledge, hey, I am a living God, and God is not treated like this. You know, God is not abused and misused. That's not what it is for God. So that's the first step, is acknowledging that. After you acknowledge and you have physically freed yourself, you have to start that spiritual and mental journey now. And this is when you're using affirmations to rebuild your self-confidence, to rebuild your self-esteem, to rebuild your thinking patterns. Because once you think that you are ugly, only ugly thoughts are processed. You're constantly getting them all day. You're never good enough. You don't sound good enough. You don't look good enough. You don't weigh enough. It's too much weight. There's always going to be a complaint that you have about yourself. Once you hate yourself, those thoughts are going to constantly be produced. So now you're in the phase of reshaping and reprogramming your mind. How do we do that? We constantly tell ourselves good things constantly. Set an alarm on your phone. Find a time that is comfortable for you, but dedicate to that time or times where you are telling yourself positive affirmations, or you are praying, or you're meditating. Whatever that looks like for you. Prayer, meditation, all that stuff is the same. All that stuff is it all is the same, essentially. So whatever that looks like for you, you have to do that. You have to see what resonates with you. Some people is yoga. Some people is taking long walks. Some people is there's so many different things. You have to find what resonates with your soul and with your spirit, right? And you have to begin to use that to rebuild and reshape your thinking patterns about how you view and perceive yourself. Ways that I have done that, I say affirmations on my phone. They're in my backdrop. They constantly tell me nice things all day. I have time set up where I have to pray and meditate. I also use sticky notes everywhere I go. All throughout my house, there are sticky notes, from my sunroom to the bathroom to the kitchen to the front room. There's sticky notes everywhere. In my car, there are notes that reminds me. Another way is writing. Write. And I don't care if you're only writing a few things a day. Put a date on it and write a couple of sentences. This is a very good way to reflect. Have yourself write about all the good things about you. Have yourself write a reflection of what you look like years from now. And then you create a plan on how you could obtain that. So now, once you have left that abusive, that toxic relationship that is not going to award you the prosperity that you deserve, once you have released yourself from that, you're rebuilding your character. And you're finding out, who are you? There's been so much clutter in your life, so many distractions, you don't know who you are anymore, essentially. So when we want to get back to who is the depths of me, I have to spend time with me. And what better place to spend time with me in a reflection of myself? Nature. Spending time in nature, getting to the very depths of what do I like, what are my dislikes, what are my challenges, what are things that I'm working on. That allows for me to free myself as well. It allows me to know who is this? Who is this person here? Who is this avatar? Like, you have to get to know, who are you? What do you like to do? Like, right? So a part of freeing yourself and releasing yourself from toxicity is no longer putting yourself in that anymore, right? Because once you begin to radiate a certain light, you're going to start attracting all that love. All that love that you want exists in you first. And once you begin to radiate that out, this is when you start attracting your tribe, as we call it, right? You start attracting those day ones that we like to say, right? Because sometimes our day ones start on a different day, on a new day. Because you're this being physically, but you are so many people. And you become so many people in this lifetime. So some people that were day ones in 2014, maybe they may not make it to 2020. And then then those are new day ones. You want to attract the tribe that is on or similar playing fields as you. if you're looking for love and light and happiness and adventure and fun, you can't be around individuals that you would consider messy or always talking about negativity or always draining your energy, and you're going to be able to feel these things. So now you're being aware of who's in your environment, of what is in your environment, right? So a part of freeing yourself is you are leaving that abusive relationship. You are diving into who are you, spending more time with yourself, and now you are shaping and creating the environment around you. And what that looks like, we want to make a loving, nurturing environment around us. So we may shower ourselves with crystals. We may take ourselves to nice, adventurous places. We may go on long hikes or take dips in the lake. So now you're creating a loving, nurturing environment for yourself using nature, right? And then that also is going to be, what does the household look like? What does it look like where you're spending your time inside? Make sure that environment is loving and nurturing. So now you're beginning to control your environment more because you're controlling yourself. You're loving yourself more, you're nurturing yourself more, and you're making sure your environment shapes that very same love. Okay, so moving past that, right? Now we're shaping our environment. Now we're looking into, what are we putting into ourselves? What are we feeding our body? Scientifically, we know that feeding our body fruits and vegetables produces happiness. It literally produces happiness. It allows for your cells to renew, rebirth. It allows for you to be more happy, more energetic. So what are you feeding your cells? That is a part of healing yourself from abusive relationships. Giving yourself more fruits and vegetables, right? That align with your chakras, right? Healing yourself is giving yourself what you need. Healing yourself with the greens. Greenery is healing yourself. Nature, eating greens, eating herbs, plants, and vegetables. That's a part of healing yourself. That's a part of ascending from these abusive, toxic relationships, right? Is what are we putting into our body? Next, we want to move into, what are we reading? How are we obtaining more intelligence and turning that into knowledge? So now we're reading a lot more books. We're finding out a lot more about our universe from a scientific level, from a spiritual level, right? We're seeing, we're understanding different ways of what is religion. All of that is a part of healing yourself from abusive relationship. The more knowledge you obtain, the more information you obtain, the more data you have, you use that in order to heal yourself. Another part of controlling your environment, what are you listening to? What are you listening to? A lot of the time we're listening to a lot of degrading music, or even if it's not degrading, the music isn't loving. So you're already, you're feeling hurt, you're feeling damaged, and then you're listening to things that are going to feed into that frequency. You need to be listening to things that are giving you the frequency of love, listening to high vibrations. You might want to there are plenty of healthy alternatives to music. I know a lot of times we like to stick to the mainstream music, the stuff that we're introduced to on the radio, but a part of healing yourself requires for you to go obtain new data, new information, and apply that to where it works for you. When you listening to good music, please go to my YouTube. There are affirmations. Check out those affirmations. When you're listening to affirmation, that is going to train your subconscious mind. That is healing you from toxic relationship, because it's changing your thinking and your thought patterns. Another way of freeing yourself. The road to healing is continuous and it's infinite. Where I am now, I am blessed and I am humble and I am so grateful, but I cannot imagine where I'm going to be in the days, weeks, hours, and minutes to come, because it's only up from here. You constantly have the opportunity to live out the greatest version of yourself, and that experience is infinite. You are always healing. You are always on your journey of becoming your greater version. It never ends. It's always just beginning. Happy healing. Peace and blessings, beautiful beings.